Want to finish your workday at 5 p.m. and actually stop? Like, really stop. Like, no ruminating or looking at emails after dinner at all. So you can finally be present with yourself and with your family. Stay with me. I will show you how. You see, most people build a business that robs them of their freedom instead of one that gives them more space to do what they actually love. And here's the parts that's so frustrating. It's not because you're not working hard enough. You've built it all: the funnels, the ads, the perfect team. You've even done the time management stuff, the time blocking, the 30-minute work sprints, the color coded calendar that took you a whole Sunday to build. And yet it's still 7 p.m. and you're hunched over your laptop trying to finish one last email or send that perfect outreach message, the one that you've now rewritten 4 times, even with the help of AI. And if you remember one thing from today, let it be this: working harder is not the problem you need to solve. I'm going to say that again. Working harder is not the problem that you need to solve. The problem is you're doing the wrong things at the wrong time. And no amount of effort fixes bad timing. The fix isn't crossing more things off of your to-do list. It's building a system that monetizes the right actions so you can work less and make more. Sound good? All right. I call that system phased revenue architecture. And by the end of this episode, you'll know how to spot the actions that are actually going to pay you and stop pouring hours into the ones that don't. You're busy, genuinely, exhaustingly busy, but that profit does not match the effort. That's so frustrating. Or you try to fill a mid-ticket group program that's, maybe around $1,000 before you actually have an audience to fill it. And so you put 1 or 2 people into it and you burn yourself out chasing enrollments that just aren't there yet. And then you start to self-judge and wonder why you can't do it, but everybody else seems to. So here's the lie underneath all of it. The answer is not to manage your time better. A lot of people think if you could just block your calendar a little tighter or sprint a little bit more or squeeze a little bit more out of every hour, you'd finally get your evenings back. So some of you try this and you optimize, you discipline yourself, you do more faster, and you're still online at 7 p.m. Funny how that works. And I know I've been there. But here's why that doesn't work. Because better time management on the wrong activities just helps you get and do more of the wrong things more efficiently. So you're doing the wrong things more efficiently. Not so useful. Because when you're doing activities that don't fit the phase your business is actually in, it's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes. So here's the truth that you really need to know. Every business has a phase. And each phase has a specific set of actions that actually generate a return and a whole set of actions that don't generate a return. So getting your time back doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right things for the right phase that you're in right now and giving yourself permission to ignore the things that belong to a phase that you haven't reached yet. Okay. So here's the formula for this whole episode. So stay tuned. If you've zoned out, come back to me. Phase mapping plus leveled direction equals finishing at 5 p.m. So phase mapping tells you where you are. Leveled direction tells you what to do based on where you are. And together they give you a real return on your time and your money instead of just having to deal with a leaking bucket. So let me break it down. There are really 3 questions here. What is phase mapping? Why does it matter? And how does it actually work? So let's take them one at a time. So what is it? Phase mapping is simply figuring out which phase your business is in. And it comes down to 4 things. Okay, So the four things are your current revenue, the size of your list and your following, your current skill set, and what you actually like doing. So let's talk about the four different phases and what they're called: baseline, top line, scale, and empire. Baseline is your foundational income. This is your first phase for many of you, or if you're pivoting, this could be a phase that you're pivoting into in your business. So this is where you build predictable revenue through one-on-one clients or enrolling people into rolling group programs. Rolling group programs are programs that have entry that you can do at any time during the year. The mistake people make in baseline is reaching for tactics that need a big list before you actually have one. So at baseline, you don't need a bigger audience. You need clients. Top line is when you add leverage on top of that foundation. That's when you actually really need your list because you're building group programs, courses, products, retreats, events, and offers that need a list and more team members to support you to fill it, which is exactly why they fall apart when you reach for them too early. So let me give you a real example of what happens when you skip a phase. So I had a client come to me who had skipped baseline income entirely. She jumped straight into top line income. And it was working for her in some ways, but in some ways not. So her top line income was what she called the self-love challenge. And she charged about $100 for the self-love challenge, generated about $10,000 from it. So she's doing great. She would launch this every 4 months. And the problem was that $10,000 didn't last her 4 months. So by the time she got to launching the next program, she was running out of money and she couldn't pay her bills and it was really hard. So when she came to me, what I realized is that she was trying to do these group programs with no foundation underneath her. And she was under this enormous pressure of stress because she was trying to fill those programs without any baseline income holding her up. And so if by any chance any of those programs didn't fill and she only generated, say, 5,000, which happened every now and then she was in real trouble. And then it would get to the point where she couldn't pay her bills each month. And this happened. She was literally negotiating late payments, all because she didn't understand what phase she was actually in or how to get comfortable operating there. So when we worked together, we kept her top line income going. We kept those self-love challenges going. And I helped her build a baseline income underneath it. And that combination is what carried her into consistent $10,000 months and to her first six-figure year. That's why it's so important to understand, right? What phase of revenue are you building, phase revenue architecture, and what your leveled direction is in that phase. So let's go over the next. After baseline, it is in top line. The third phase is scale income. And scale is when you can reliably put lots of people into those leveraged group programs and retreats and events. So you can finally start letting go of the one-on-ones. And this is that point where a lot of you want to get to, where you want to let go of some of your one-on-one offerings and you want more people in your group program. That's the scale level. And empire is the level after scale, and that's the phase after scale. And empire is when baseline and top line are so dialed in that they run without you. And now you can get to build bigger media platforms, step into bigger stages, take bigger risks, because your income no longer depends on you doing every single thing yourself. So you understand the phases, right? Baseline, top line, scale, empire. And why does all of it matter? Because the activities in each phase only work in that phase. You do the right thing at the wrong time and you get almost nothing back for it. I had another client who came to me having spent $20,000 on Facebook ads. but she was still building her baseline income. So she was really trying to get to a point where she was generating $5,000 consistently each month. Some months she generate five, some months she generate three, some months she generate eight. And she spent $20,000 in ads thinking that that would help her in the immediate smooth out her income. And she pulled that money out of her savings. But the ads were taking 6 months to convert. 6 months. And so none of it was coming back to her immediately. And so therefore, she ended up using her savings on Facebook ads and trying to build her baseline income. And it was a very uncomfortable process for her because you don't want to use that thing, that savings, to do the wrong activity at the wrong time. And that's a perfect example of the right activity. There's nothing wrong with Facebook ads, but done at the wrong time. And she ended up burning through a ton of money, energy, and time that she couldn't get back. And when she came to work with me, I redirected her to say, okay, let's actually not worry so much about these Facebook ads. You spent the money, let's let that go. And I redirected her to focus on the activities to generate her baseline activities that actually, to generate her baseline income in the baseline income phase that actually fit where she was. And that's when she finally was able to start hitting her first $20,000 months. And she was able to put that money back into her savings account without draining her or her bank account or putting undue stress upon her. And that is why phase mapping matters so much. It's the difference between a leaking bucket and a real return on everything that you're pouring in. So how does it all work, right? You identify your phase in an honest way based on your revenue, your list size, your skill set. Then you take leveled direction. You only do the actions that belong in that phase. And you give yourself full permission to ignore the rest of the actions until you've earned your way into the next phase. And I'll give you one more story of what not to do, because this one especially drives it home. I had a client who was trying to put 100 people into a meditation program that she was launching. That was her entire strategy for her business. But putting 100 people into a program like that was completely the wrong phase for where she was, the wrong level direction for the phase that she was at. She spent so long building all of the pieces of her meditation program, the site, the content, the meditations, the sales pages, the opt-in pages, the traffic sources to pull it off. She spent all of her money on that so that she couldn't even pay her monthly bills month to month, trying to put 100 people into a meditation program. But then she was like, people dripped in, like 3 people, 5 people, 7 people. And it was all because she was in the wrong phase, doing the wrong activities. And the moment that I redirected her, right, when she came to work with me to baseline income, and building programs that fit for her baseline phase, she finally started generating the consistent monthly income that she was looking for, that she'd been chasing the whole time. Now, let me show you what the flip side looks like, what it looks like when you do the phases in order. I had a client who did body work, and instead of jumping ahead to doing retreats and events, we started exactly where she was, and we built a baseline income program where she charged $3,000 for the program. And while that baseline was generating real predictable income, she was building her list at the same time, building her skill sets, laying the foundation for the next phase before she actually needed it. And then because she did it in that order, when she launched her first group program, she had everything she needed to make it work. And that's what carried her to consistent $12,000 months. Baseline and top line working together in the right sequence. Because she was able to not only fill her one-on-one program, she was also able to fill a group program because she was ready to launch it. And that is leveled direction. It's not just avoiding the wrong moves, it's doing the right moves in the right order. That's the difference the right sequence makes. When you map your phase, baseline, top line, scale, or empire, and then follow the level direction for that exact phase, you stop chasing actions that don't pay you. You monetize the right moves at the right time. The bucket holds, the profit shows up, and you get to close the laptop at 5 p.m. and actually be there for the people you love. That's phase revenue architecture. So here's what I want you to do next. If something in this episode hit home, if you're tired of pouring water into a leaking bucket and you want to know exactly which phase you are in and what to focus on, then let's talk. Book a conversation with me. We'll look at where your business is right now and map out the right moves for your phase so you can stop guessing and start working less while making more. The link is in the show notes or around this video. And if you're not quite ready for a conversation yet, and if you want to know how to earn more on your own, go watch my 7-Figure Models webinar. It walks you through the exact models behind all of this, and you can watch it whenever it's convenient for you. That link is also around this video and in the show notes. Whichever path you choose, just take it today while it's fresh in your mind before you forget completely who I am. All right, my friends, I'll see you on the next video.